Alright, so I hope to get the rest of my story times up about the year I auditioned for So You Can Dance, part 2 to the Lakergirls, the time I got stuck in the Denver airport for 2 days, the first time I drank, and just so many more, and Nigel Barker and things like that, meeting him, and with my audition for So You Can Dance. Hey guys, okay, so it's finally here. Okay, so I finally doing my first story time. Okay, so the first one's to be I auditioned for the Lakergirls 2 times, and the first year was 2009, and I'm going to start off telling you this story. Okay, so after college, you know, I went there cheering and things like that, and I wanted to continue, you know, learning on these jumps, everything. So I came back, and what people don't realize is the Lakergirls is not like a cheerleading type thing. It's more of a, you know, dance and things like that, even though, you know, primarily I don't really do that stuff, but it's kind of to limit the people that they have because they want the best. So this is the craziest thing. So I got up really early, about, like, I was saved for to make it to audition on time, because I think I had to catch the train the first year. So I got up and I went, and when I got there, it was completely empty. No one else was there except for me, and I wanted to make sure I got there early so I could stretch. And like, you know, some time go by, and so then this girl came, and then, you know, slowly people started trickling in, things like that. And by the time I look behind me, it's like a sea of just so many people. There's blondes, brunettes, mostly blondes. And the thing is about auditions that people don't really realize is in LA, most people, like when you think of Lakergirls, you'll think of, you know, oh, it's a blonde, thing like that. But there's so many that they only could choose so few. So they kind of have that working against them in a way. But when I got there, and it was time for the doors to open up so everyone could go inside, and I was just like, okay, you know, getting everything together. And the first surprise that they have for you is you don't realize, like, the little news coverage, you know, like So You Can Dance, things like that, audition for those. They're pretty good, but they're also what's good as an open cast. Well, open cast is pretty much when, you know, anyone can come in, and closed casting, for people who don't know, it's like, you know, a group of people come in, or someone will tell you, like, oh, they're looking for this and that and that, and then you come, then it'll be, you know, yes, no, like her, you know, like that off bat, like you don't say anything. They're just kind of like, you know, picking and choosing. So, but this was an open cast, which was really good, which I really like about, like, the main big television network and things like that, and other, like, various things are looking for a lot of people. And so all of a sudden a camera come out, and so I'm like the first person there, and so, like, I didn't even have time to prepare an answer. Like, oh, so guy just randomly microphone, like, oh, so why do you want to be like a girl? And, like, whatever my response was, it was so ironic that I really do not even remember to this day. But I know that, you know, it was okay. It wasn't necessarily a part of the audition, but I was just like, you know, okay. So we go inside there, we stretch. Okay, now, so the woman who runs and choreographs and the director for the Lakergirls, which is Lisa, which I called her and I was like, yeah, and I just talked to her for a little bit to see if I can, you know, like, everyone has a little story of how they kind of get it in inside there. And so that's exactly what I did. Okay, so I'm sorry. Okay, I'm so excited, that's why. Okay, so I called Lisa. I pretty much asked her, you know, like, little stuff to try to, you know, get her warm up to me, like, oh yeah, so, what do you guys prefer to wear and things like that. And so most people, you know, some people even showed up in like leotards and things like that. But so the audition is really, really quick. And my advice for you, if you are going to go to any audition, especially like a dance audition or Lakergirls or even a Clipper Girls, any kind of audition like that, make sure that you have your jumps in order. So at the time, they had this really, really, really crazy, crazy jump that you do at the end of the audition, and this happens every year. So I would suggest you not even bother trying out if you don't have this jump, because they like that's automatic. Like no, because it's a leap, and an axel, but back to back. And an axel is basically a split in the air, like perfectly a split, not like no toe touch, anything like it's a split in the air while you're jumping. So, and I had that, and everything was really, really good. And so the audition just like it goes by really, really fast. And so, but the first year was just like what happened was mainly my shoe. So everyone knows that when you go to audition and things like that, you don't kind of you don't buy new shoes because you don't know how they're going to act against the floor. You don't know how they're going to fit your feet or anything like that, unless you're like super familiar with the brands. And there's not many like dance stores that are out, like dance clothing outfit stores that's out here that sells like the shoes and things like that. They find them and they're few and far between. And not only that, if you wear a besides like anything above a 7, you're in trouble, like because you have to order that online, which is always very, very iffy. And if you're coming from like China and things like that, you have to learn, your size, or else, there's a lot of guessing involved, which you don't want to do. So the thing was, I had my shoes ready and all this extra stuff, and I noticed like a day before or so, one of the little seams was coming out. So I was like, sew that together. So I'm getting ready to, go and do all the extra stuff. In the middle of the audition, the shoe literally kind of like split at the seams, like towards the top, and I was just like, this was just like not the thing for me. So I was just okay. So I didn't end up making it that year, but I learned a couple of key things that helped me be better the following year, the very, very next year. I think I tried out again in 2010, the very next year after. So when I was 19 and 20. But anyway, when I first started like cheering and things like that, I never thought that I would be someone who would get a chance to just do this stuff. So I'm very, very grateful and very, very happy. And I thank God for that, because I've met so many like really nice people through that. And like you kind of learn a lot about it, kind of opens you up more as being like a little bit more outgoing, a little bit more nice, and you get a chance to see everyone who kind of like blooms after a while, like. But I'm very, very happy for that, and I'm gonna do the Lakergirls 2 audition. I'm gonna tell you about the time of So You Think You Can Dance audition. And Nigel, even though I guess he seems kind of like iffy on TV, he was very, very, very nice. And story times of hanging out with Michael B. Jordan. Also crazy parties and crazy exes and so much more. I'm still thinking on a lot of topics. But thank you guys for watching. Advice for everyone else who kind of thinking about audition for Lakergirls 2. Just make sure that you have everything ready. Also that you're taking your time to practice, because you're going up against a lot of people too. And Lakergirls get paid only $100 per game, but you do make a lot more money during the off season, where you're like sponsorship to go to different places. That's where you make your money. But every single game that you go to, you're going to get paid $100. Companies will pretty much pay you to go to different places and sites, and they pretty much sponsor you and pay the group as a whole, and then that's how you decide on how you get paid. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and ring the bell.